Welcome to the Say It Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Vasavi Kumar. If you're eager to gain clarity, speak with unwavering confidence, and liberate those inner voices, you're in the perfect spot. My mission here is to empower you to break free, find fulfillment, and ignite your passion. You ready? It's time to say it out loud. I've put together a guide of my top 10 tested and proven to work practical strategies and habits to help bright women like you say no, set your boundaries right, live confidently, and build healthy relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself. This is a self-paced guide, and I can't wait for you to dig into it so you can start becoming your most confident self, because she's in there waiting for you. Head to the link in my show notes or go to vasavikumar.com/guide and grab it today. Welcome back to another episode of the Say It Out Loud podcast. I am so excited about today's conversation because it's not just any guest. It's my best friend, Silvy Khoucasian. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, a relationship coach, and honestly, she's one of the most emotionally intelligent women I know. But she's not just brilliant on paper. She lives this work in her bones. She's taught me personally so much about friendships, boundaries, and most importantly, repair, and how to stop performing for connection and actually build something real. We're not going to be sugarcoating any of it. So if you've ever asked yourself, am I expecting too much from my friends? Why do I feel guilty setting boundaries with people I love? Or is it okay to let go of someone I've known forever? This episode is for you. So let's get into it. Silvy, hello.
Hi, bestie.
How are you?
I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you about friendship of all topics. What an honor.
I
Thank you for
know.
having me.
I know. We're going to be talking about so much today, Silvy. We're going to be talking about attachment styles, values in female friendship, and even our own personal relationship, right? Like how we mesh and how long it took to build the friendship that we have today. So I would first love hearing from you because I know people listening to this might not know a lot about attachment styles. Can you give us like a general overview about attachment styles? And then we're going to get into our attachment styles and how we've learned to navigate our specific attachment styles.
Absolutely. Attachment theory is the kind of like the bread and butter of the work that I do with clients. And I have used it as a tool for romantic relationships, friendship relationships. And it's essentially a map created by John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, to help us understand how those early relationships with our primary caregiver really impact our adult relationships. So if you were someone who grew up with a primary caregiver, and what I mean by that is essentially the person that was responsible for emotionally attuning to you and taking care of your emotional needs and being really present and attuned. And if that was there pretty consistently, again, this is not about perfection. A good, even 30% of the time is what new research is showing, that it's solid with good repair. You can build a lot of secure functioning tendencies, which means that in adult relationships, you're someone that is more trusting. You can co-regulate more easily with people. You assume good intentions, that people are collaborative. Really, the core word is to trust. There's a trust that develops in relationship.
So,
And with people that, oh, go ahead. Yeah, let's
no,
break
no,
each
no.
one down. Do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I
You
actually would
want to
love
keep
to
going?
hear a breakdown of each attachment style. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
So for anxious attachment, this is when a child and caregiver relationship was kind of in and out. So maybe the caregiver was really present, really attuned some of the time, but then the other rest of the time they were unavailable. Maybe they were a single parent, they worked a lot, or struggling with mental health that was left untreated. Or maybe one parent was really attuned and the other parent was really not present. And so this person grows up in a relationship kind of feeling like, I don't know if I can trust in relationship. I feel like I want it. I want to relax into this, but that spaciousness can be hard for them. They can get a lot of anxiety around potential abandonment, whether it's physical or emotional abandonment. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have two avoidance styles. We have dismissive avoidant, which is somebody that grew up with a caregiver that was really neglectful emotionally. So they were just not present intellectually. I mean, they were only present intellectually. Maybe they praised them for all that they did. I know for us culturally, Middle Eastern families, this is very common. Indian families, I think that's also fairly common. South Asian culture. So a lot of praise on the doing rather than the being, not a lot of engagement. And so these people really grow up auto-regulating. They don't rely on relationship. They're scared to trust relationship because it's like, what's the point? I could just, take care of myself now.
Yeah.
And lastly, the fourth attachment style that came online more recently is fearful avoidant attachment, which is children that grow up in more chaotic, turbulent homes. Maybe there was abuse, or parents that were grieving things that they hadn't fully processed and integrated. And so kids can really feel that chaotic experience, but they still feel attached to their parents. And so these are people that really struggle relationally because it's almost like, I want relationship, but I don't. There's a very hot and cold, on off confusion that lives inside of them that they can struggle with both romantically and in friendship dynamics.
And if people want to dig deeper into attachment styles, do you recommend the book Attached? Is that the book that you recommend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or my one-on-one or my course on attachment 101.
Absolutely. And we will definitely link your attachment 101 course in the show notes. What I would love to get into, and thank you so much for that breakdown of all the attachment styles in terms of our friendship, right? Because I really want people listening to see themselves in our friendship, and maybe be able to take what we've overcome and worked through in our own relationship to apply in their own friendships. When you think about your attachment style, how do you notice it shows up with me?
Yeah, good question. And the thing that I want to say to frame this question is that attachment tendencies are going to differ with everyone in your relationship with. You might be drawn to a certain type because of that history that you have and have a really high tolerance. But it's also, it's almost like this ever-evolving entity that lives inside of you. And the goal is to create secure patterns and behaviors, which is, I think, what you and I have done a phenomenal job at.
Mm-hmm.
I think I tend to live with, I used to think I had a lot more anxious tendencies, and my therapist and I will probably argue about this forever. But I feel, I tend to feel suffocated in relationships in general. Like I live with this feeling of enmeshment, and I think a lot of that for me is cultural. And so, yeah, it's
Me too.
almost like I was very hyper attuned to my family system emotionally. And I think I just played that therapist role. Hello, two therapists sitting
Yeah.
here, right?
Yes. Me
And so
too.
I think you give me so much safety and security. And I think one of the gifts you give me is spaciousness. Like I feel so non-pressured by you. And even when you make invitations or you reach out to engage with me, that there's this space and consent, and you just give me a lot of room to say no.
So I want to say something. I'm very
Yes.
perfect, and I'm right now actually writing down three phrases that I always say to you and to people
Mm,
because I never want them to feel suffocated. I always
mm,
say no pressure, take your
mm.
time, or no rush. Because I, like you, grew up in a very enmeshed family. So anytime I offer a bid for connection with you, whether it's a phone call or come hang out or let's FaceTime, if you notice, I'll always say to you, no pressure, take your time.
Always.
Because I know that about you. And I know that you
Mm.
grew up in a family where you have to play the role of therapist. So I never want you to feel like you have to play that role with me. And
So
so
grateful for that
yeah.
from you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just want to share this with everyone because, people may be listening to this and they're like, oh, I can relate to this. How do I make sure that people in my life don't feel suffocated? Well, actually give them permission to have space and to make the
Mm.
decision. Right. So what's something you learned about how to relate to me that maybe you didn't know in the beginning as we were
I feel like
in friendship? Yeah.
so much. I mean, I feel like you were a very different template of human for me. You
Mhm.
were so bold and expressive, and I come from a cultural background. I love that we're talking about culture too, because this
Yeah.
shapes so much of our relationships and friendship, and we don't address it enough, I think, just in our just in general in the collective culture.
Mhm.
Um, I think you were very a different template because you were very bold and expressive and very direct and clear. And it was such a lovely like breath of fresh air that I didn't have to read your mind.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, this is a person that's just going to tell me what's happening.
Mhm.
But you would do it in a way that was very honoring, and you took so much responsibility for your experience. Like I never felt blamed or attacked or, shamed by you. And
Mhm.
obviously we've had, moments where we've come up against hard conversations, but we were able to kind of quickly work to repair. And your self-awareness, I think, was like mind blowing to me. I was
Thank
like,
you
how
so
does
much.
this person know herself so well? And it was, we'll get to values, as well. But like that was a value that like I hunger for in friendship, and that depth and that ability to just know what's happening inside of yourself and how much you are able to bring because of that self-knowledge. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And the one thing that's coming up for me is, I'm thinking about some of my clients who have mentioned that, they have the self-awareness. They want to have deep, intimate relationships, but they are scared of being too much or not enough. So, how would you recommend people handle that, right? If they've ever felt like, oh, I don't want to be too much in a friendship, or I'm not enough in a friendship, like how do we handle that? Because it's not as easy as, oh, we're just going to be friends and everything's going to be great, right? We have a lot of shit that we're bringing to the table. We have a lot of baggage that we're bringing to the table that we have to be acutely aware of. So, how do you handle that? Like, what do you recommend for someone who's scared of being too much or not enough in friendships?
Let's take a quick break.
Having been in therapy since the age of 12, I know firsthand just how powerful the process of finding the right therapist is. Going to therapy and talking things out with my therapist has made me happier, clearer, and most importantly, I have a plan for my mental health. I have tools to be able to communicate with others, and also the tools to cope when life gets hard, which it does. So let me ask you a question. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with the therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp, HELP.com/Vasavi. That's betterhelp.com/Vasavi. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with the therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing out about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I don't know where I would be without the help of therapy and my therapist, but I do know that life would feel that much harder. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Vasavi. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this podcast.
I think that's such a really phenomenal question. And I think it really comes down to a few things, understanding what you value in friendship. So getting really clear on, and really what that means is, who are you? Who do you want to be in the world? What are the things, the qualities that bring you alive? That's your soul contract, let's say, if you are more of a spiritual person.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm somebody who's always loved to go deep. I love depth. I love talking about, philosophy, meaningful things, analyzing why my behavior is the way that it is and where it came from. And for a lot of my life, I would say most of my friendship didn't like doing that. And so I felt like the oddball in the group. And I just didn't know that was something that I could have.
Mhm.
And so I think if we're feeling too much, that we are too much, sometimes it's because we're just not relating to people in the ways that, with people that value the same things. So I would
Yeah.
say that's first and foremost if we're feeling judged.
Yeah.
And then, we can ask, are we being reciprocal? Like, are we, taking up all the space? Are we like, circling back and getting to know the other person? Because for those of us that do have more anxious attachment patterns, sometimes we get so hyper fixed on being abandoned that we can get overwhelmed in the space and even take up too much of it. So it's okay to feel like too much. It's okay. Use that as information that lives inside of you and look at the context of the experience. Check in with who you're asking for what, and are they the right person to go there with? Like, I don't have to question that I can go deep with you. I can go to the deepest waters with you.
Yes. And I just want to say about you, after my dad died, and for everyone listening, you all know I just recorded an episode that my dad died on May 22nd. One of the things that, has been coming up in my relationship with Silvy, I don't know if you've noticed this, Silvy, but it's like I've been feeling like I'm being a burden because I've been in a funk and I've been grieving. And I just say that to you. I say, Silvy, I'm in a funk. I'm grieving. I'm sorry if I feel like too much. Like I will even say that to you. And of course, you come in with hardcore validation and you're like, Voss, you're fine. Like you're okay as you are. But I think these are the conversations that women need to have with each other rather than keeping it inside. What do you think?
Oh, yes. And that's one of the things I love about you that I've learned to be better at is just naming where you're at, vocalizing where you're at, because we can feel what's in the space,
Yeah.
right? There's like this awkward thing, and we can just feel. Dr. Alexandra Solomon has this phrase called relational self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking the self-awareness that you and I have, but now we're bridging it relationally, which is, I think, where a lot of people struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I take this information about me and myself and then quote, say it out loud, aka Vasavi Kumar? You're saying out loud the thing that actually helps to give me insight about what's happening for you so that I can offer you validation, support, and just to see you and to witness you in your fullness. And not everybody can be with that. And that's something I think we all have to learn to cultivate. Like what gets in the way of that kind of authentic intimacy for me? And what do I need to do to behave in a more secure way so that people in my life feel safe to be sad, to grieve, to be joyful, to celebrate them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to know when it comes to values, energy, and emotional labor. I think we live in a world where we expect people to respond to us right away. And if they don't give us access right away, we freak out. Especially, I know for me, spaciousness has been something that I have worked on, like being okay with spaciousness. We make a lot of time for each other, Sylvie, but do you think, should friends be available for each other all the time, or do we need to just normalize less access? I mean, how do we navigate this when you're trying to build a friendship or maintain a friendship and we live in a society where we have access to everything at our fingertips? Do you think that friendships should be available for each other all the time, or do we need to normalize less access?
I was asked a similar question in the dating dynamic, so it's interesting to see this question framed in the friendship realm.
Yeah.
And you're so right. I even just did a newsletter on this. We are living in a time of instant gratification. Literally,
Yes.
Amazon delivery gets there the same day.
Yeah.
So I do think that life is speeding up so fast that we have to question, is that actually good for our nervous system to be going this quickly and to have these kind of, in some ways, unrealistic expectations? And if we look at it through the context of attachment, we know that people with anxious attachment have a really hard time tolerating space. That
Mm-hmm.
spaciousness can be really hard because what happens in that space? The stories of, oh my gosh, are they mad at me? Is the connection going to be taken away from me? Am I being abandoned? So I think finding a way to just understand what happens in space is so important and valuable so that you can choose how much spaciousness do I actually want when I'm not activated? Like what's genuinely true for me,
Yes. So getting clear on that
right?
for yourself and communicating that with your friend.
Communicating that. And if you are friends with someone that has anxious attachment, you can offer little offers of validation and reassurance. If you know you're going to take a really long time to get back to them, just ping them. Okay, I'm just letting you know I'm heavy in a work mode this today, tomorrow I'll get back to you the end of the week. And you also have to see, some friendships, if there's a kind of closeness and in, communication that you really want for someone to fit in that more inner tier circle, which we'll talk about tiers,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the person you're engaging with is not going to be in that tier for you because you want more closeness and connection time. But you have to give the relationship some time to kind of navigate that. And also, I think you have to work with your own and know your own nervous system a little bit more.
I
What
think
do you think, boss, on that?
yeah, you not only have to know your nervous system, but you also have to know your values. And I'm thinking about the conversation. You and I once had a conversation. I think we were at your house or my house, and we were just talking about our values. And so, how do we talk about values and friendship without making it feel like a performance review? Because I remember when you and I were talking about our values, it just kind of meshed together really well. Like the stuff that I valued and the stuff that you value, like some of the stuff is different, but they all kind of go together, which is why I think our friendship is what it is. So, like, in dating, people say talk about your values with the person that you're dating. You want to make sure you have aligned values. I don't feel like we do that enough in friendship. So, how do we talk about values in friendship without it feeling like some sort of performance review?
I think some of it can be done through observation. Like I knew for me, vulnerability and humility were two of my huge ones in friendship and self-awareness.
Yeah.
And so just you living your life in that way was already like evidence that you valued those things. And then we started having really, really honest conversations about our needs. I remember that. And we went for it. Like we dated each other in the beginning. We were like, we're not messing around. We want to know, like, are we going to be able to rely on each other? And I think that's the question in female friendships that is, research shows that females are looking for is, can I really rely on you and feel, safe with you? And can I connect with you in those deeper ways? And we asked, but we witnessed it through taking a risk. So I would share something that maybe came up for me around what was happening between us, and you would respond in a very validating, comforting way, and that helped me feel closer to you. You would take a risk and share something that got triggered in you, and I would respond in a validating way. And I think it was almost like vulnerability in action, not just talking about it, but we actually did the thing.
We did the thing.
We did the thing.
I felt safe enough to do that with you, though, right? I never feel like I have to add padding to what I'm going to say. I don't have to add fluff. I can just say the thing to you. But I think it also really shows your relational self-awareness, my relational self-awareness, and our own personal awareness that we have for, within ourselves that we then display with one another. I know we actually said we were going to talk about tiered friendships. And I'm thinking about my friend Selena Sue, who wrote the book Rich Relationships, who talks about this all the time, having friendships in different circles, different tiers. Do you think friendships should be treated like they exist in tiers? Or does that automatically create hierarchy and drama? I can't wait to hear your answer about this. I already know how I feel about this, but want to hear about
It's interesting you say the word hierarchy, because I was thinking about that before getting on the podcast with you today. I'm like, I want to really present this in a way that doesn't feel like rigid or
mean.
Yeah, or like, oh, you don't fit this tier, I'm putting you in this tier.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is about being real. Like, let's just keep it real. We're all doing this in our own way, but we're talking about and giving it some language and structure, so that I think that it actually gives more spaciousness and authenticity to relationships when we have tiers. And so what does that mean? So in female friendships, we know that women tend to thrive in dyads or triads, so groups of 2 or 3 as like the close inner circle. Some people can do more. And really, everyone gets to decide what kind of tiers are important for them in their lives. So that immediate kind of inner circle tier, maybe a romantic partner can fit into that as well. Maybe then the next one is close friends, then colleagues, friends that I share hobbies with. I love when I'm working with clients, I make a section that new and assessing. Like, I don't have enough information about them to see where I want them to be in my life. And also, you're creating your own tiers that matter to you. When I work with my more anxious attachment client, this is what I think you're going to find interesting. We try to shove everyone in the inner circle. We want to be we want that inner closeness with everybody. And then when I'm working with more avoidant clients that have more avoidant patterns, they tend to have a lot of friends, but they're not going really deep with a few people. And so it's like interesting to see where your friendships even fit in those tiers as a way to just gauge how you're relating to people, as a kind of a starting point. You want to add anything to the tiers, Voss? Because I know you do a lot of work on this.
I do a lot of work on tiers, and I have tiered friendships. You know that. Like, I have friends that are my number 1 tier. I have maybe two or three people in that, and then everyone else kind of is in tier two, tier three, tier four. I don't feel bad doing that. I'm just very clear about what someone can bring to the table emotionally for me, capacity wise, safety wise. And so I used to make everyone my tier one. I wanted to be close to everyone. Closeness with people is something that I crave deeply. But as I've gotten older and worked on my own anxious attachment and been okay with spaciousness, and also grew up and matured, and also sought safety within myself, I realized that not everyone is going to be my safe choice number one, and that's okay. So I'm completely okay with tiered friendships. I don't think it's mean. I think it's a necessity, because we can't expect everyone to have the same function in our life, right? Like everyone is not going to perform. I don't mean perform, but everyone is not going to serve the same purpose in our life. Does that sound harsh, even saying it like that, though?
No, I think it's in a way that, especially like you said, when we have that more anxious attachment patterning and we want everyone to be close, something about having like a structure to be able to recognize that people can fit in different parts of our lives and still be so meaningful and valuable to us.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, for me, I was like, oh, nope, they're not a close friend. I don't know where to put them. I can't be in a relationship with this person because I don't have that soulmate friendship dynamic. I was like, no, it's so amazing to have colleague relationships. It's so amazing to have somebody that I can just pick up and talk about this shared hobby that we have. But it took a lot of like awareness around. I think also just I grew up distant from all my extended family. So I was in a way trying to make all these friends family, and it's not possible. And so I think there's the cultural piece for me was also at play. I don't know if that was true for you as well.
I wasn't, growing up in an Indian household, it was not celebrated for us to have friends. My mother didn't understand like why I needed to have friends. She just assumed the family would be enough. But for me, friends were everything, right? It's like, who am I going to communicate and be connected with outside of my nuclear family? So friends were really important. But in our culture, friends are not like placed on this pedestal. It's like, why have friends? You have family. So that was very hard for me to navigate too, because I deeply wanted friendships, but I felt torn, like almost like I was cheating on my family. Does that sound weird? You know what
No,
I
I
mean?
get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not prioritized in your family system. And I think romantic relationships are, they're kind of put at the top of the hierarchy. But what surrounds and nurtures the foundation of romantic relationship is also friendship. So
Yes.
I
So
think you and I also value friendships in the same way, which is
yeah.
why we had a lot of alignment in that regard.
So what do we do, Silvy? What do we do, and how do we communicate mismatched expectations in friendship without ghosting or over explaining? So like you're just starting out in a new friendship, it's not really aligning. I think a lot of times people feel like, let me over explain, let me get out, let me ghost. How do you recommend people handle mismatched expectations in friendships without ghosting or over explaining?
That's such a fantastic question, is I think it really requires self-awareness and self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having a dynamic with someone, and stuff is coming up. Spending some time getting to know what that is that's coming up, right? Is this something that's getting triggered in you, that's historical, that's from childhood? Is there a fear, insecurity? Is there a need you want to present to see if that person is capable of meeting that need? Is there an agreement that you guys want to create together, right? The same way we would do in a romantic relationship. And, I recently had a conversation with a friend, and I asked her, what do you need in relationship? This is what I need. This is something that's important for me. What about for you? And we had a very honest conversation about what those look like, and they were very different things. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that we're not compatible. We totally are. We're still compatible. It's just we can also make space for different things if there's, I think, alignment in those core values. And again, this is just in the inner circle, close circle friendship we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a shared hobby with someone and let it live there as it is. So maybe
Yes.
they don't value depth. Maybe they don't value that self-reflection, but there's so much fun, and you love playing pickleball with them, or you love going to maybe you're in a book club or something. And so through that conversation, hopefully you're getting more data around where this person is going to fit in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that conversation is what allows us to be honest about what our expectations are. And just because that person can't fit in that doesn't mean that somebody else won't.
So if we're talking about the slow fade of a friendship, right? Like, let's say you communicate that this is not in alignment with the kind of friendship that I want. I just don't think that this is working out. Or maybe you do a slow fade because sometimes that's what's necessary, just a slow fade of a friendship. But how should someone navigate the slow fade of a friendship without making it a dramatic exit? Because I think oftentimes we think it has to be this big thing, this big like exit, but it doesn't have to be. How do you navigate? Like, have you ever navigated that? And if so, how? The slow fade of a friendship.
I think that friendships, especially long-term friendships, actually go through a lot of ebbs and flows, than more than we realize. And this woman, Dr. Marissa Franco, who is a friendship researcher, she talks a lot about how important it is to embrace those ebbs and flows as people are going through different stages, and finding new identities, and trying on new things. And that is an important part. So in the past, I used to always think, oh my gosh, something's wrong, we're not as connected, blah blah blah, and make up so much in my head. And now and you've also really helped me with this, I've really gotten so much better at, no, this is just a relationship that's going through its own evolution and change and shift. And maybe they live on a shelf for a while, but not in a shelf like me, and like I'm being dismissive about them, but just that they're in their life, they're in their new experience, and can I tolerate that? So I think we talk about, you and I tolerate the word tolerance so
Yes,
much.
we sure
Can I
do.
tolerate that? Because
Yeah.
if we're really honest, when somebody else is going through a shift, we sometimes are going through that shift together, and we can feel it. And if we can just recognize that and be honest about that, and have other friendships that also support, our growth. Sometimes it's not symmetrical. Sometimes one person is going through something really massive that is really hard for the other person. And from a female friendship standpoint, symmetry is really important. So let's say you're in a friendship with someone who's about to have a child and you're not in that stage. That can feel really threatening. So talking about it, having the courage to be vulnerable and saying, wow, I'm really scared that our relationship is going to change. I'm feeling, I'm having feelings about it. You and I talk about everything.
I mean, I was just going to ask you this. So this leads into my next question, because I want my audience to really hear in real time what we do in our friendship. So what is one thing we do? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, whether it's
Okay.
consciously or unconsciously. What's one thing that we do that helps us stay connected even when life gets chaotic? What do you think we do? I think I'll go first. We communicated.
Yeah.
We communicated right away. Like, you knew right away. You called me literally 5 minutes after my father died. You didn't even know. We were so connected, and you knew, like, okay, this is the beginning of her grieving process. Like, you just knew it, and I communicated that with you. But life gets chaotic. How do you think we have handled that?
I think that you said the word is communication and that relational self-awareness. I know when I'm going through a cocooning phase, I know that about myself now at 42 years old, that when I'm going through stuff or there's a lot of stimulation in my life, I can feel internal. So let's say you message me and I can just feel like I don't have a lot of capacity for connecting or just anything. Just I'm exhausted, I'm fatigued. I will simply just say that. I'll text you, hey boss, just if you notice my responses might be a little stiffy or stagnant, just I'm cocooning, I'm in a cocooning, and you're like, got it, great. And you remind me and appreciate how valuable just saying that to you out loud. I'm gonna keep saying say it out loud for you.
But it's also, Sylvie, it really is. And I want everyone hearing this. It's like, we don't take it personally. If you're in a cocoon phase, I don't take it personally. It doesn't mean anything about me. The fact that you communicate that with me is more than enough for me. It's like, oh, she's letting me know where she's at. Or when I've said to you in the past 8 days, Silvy, I'm in a funk. Literally every time we talk, I've been telling you I'm in a funk. And you say the same thing to me, boss, that's okay. I'm here. Right. So it really is a communication piece. I think so much of what we want to say doesn't get said. And then we wonder why we don't have the friendships that we want in our life. I mean, what do you think we owe our old friends when we've changed and grown in different directions? Because I know you and I feel like we're on a very similar path when it comes to our friendship and just our life and where we're headed. Like we just communicate with each other. We're so honest with each other. But do we owe anything to old friends when we've changed and grown in different directions? Like, do we owe anything at all, actually?
I mean, do we owe anything? I think we learn so much about ourselves through the friendship dynamic. And do I wish I could go back and do certain things differently? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've spent a lot of therapy sessions processing some of my past friendship dynamics and exploring like what was going on for me, what I could have done differently, and really using that information to do things differently with you, with my current friendships. And also I have some friendships from my childhood that we've had repair conversations like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this thing at 20 years old. So I'm so mortified. I'm such a different person now. I think that's beautiful if we have somebody in our life that we can do that with, that's also gone on that self-reflection journey. Because I've also had friendships where I've done that and I'm the only one doing that. I'm like, I regret this, this, and this. What about you? Oh, nothing. It's like, okay, where's the
Yeah.
humility in that?
Yes.
So, and I think that's a thing to be mindful of in reconnecting with old friends. Let's say there's someone from the past you miss, you wanted to repair with, um, and seeing if they're going to meet you on the bridge of vulnerability. They may not, but it's okay to be the first one to take that risk. That's the only way you're going to find out.
I always say you have to go first. If you're looking for
Ew.
vulnerability and safety from your friends, you have to go first. And when you go first, then you can see if you're going to be met with the same vulnerability and safety. But you have to lead first if that's what you're expecting from other people. And I think we do that so well. I want to say a few things about repair. I know we talk about repair a lot, and you and I haven't had like a ton of conflict in our friendship. I would not say that at all. We've had like a few things, but one thing that we do really freaking well, which was not modeled to me as a child, and I know was not modeled to you as a child, is that we know how to repair. Can you say a little bit about repairing, how it's done, why it's important, like, and why most people don't do it?
Yes, I agree with you. Repair is one of the most important skills that we can learn relationally with anybody.
Mhm.
And relationships are, I love Terry Real's frame of harmony, disharmony, repair.
Mhm.
Harmony, disharmony, repair. So we're going to feel connected, then disconnected, and there's a process to get us back to connection.
Mhm.
And I think this is where the self-awareness piece is really huge. So asking yourself the question of what are the things I do? What are the behaviors I might participate in relationally that make other people feel frightened, scared, disconnected, and being really honest about yourself. When I'm in an anxious loop, I can be a little rigid, I can be stiffy again, I can go into my cocoon. That has felt threatening for some people in my past. Even when I've communicated it, it has felt threatening for people. So knowing that I know that you might have more anxious patterns, for you, Voss. For me, it's also knowing the phrases that will help you feel safe if we've had a breach. So just I know when I've brought up things that have come up for me in relationship with you, I've often paired it with, I'm not going anywhere. I'm in this relationship for the long haul. I'm committed to you, and this is what's coming up for me, and this is what I need. So that pairing, I think, is really important for repair, because what can happen if we're only focusing on what's coming up for us and being so self-focused and not
Yes.
relational, that's when we often don't even get the thing that we want, because we're not being mindful and collaborative and considerate of the other person.
Mhm.
So
You do
what
that
about
so
for you?
well, Sylvie. Like you will say things like, "I'm not mad at you," or like, "I'm not mad at
Yeah.
you. This is how I feel," and like that helps me so much because my thing is I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be
Mm,
in trouble. I was always got in trouble when I was a kid, so I don't ever want to be bad. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be punished. So, like you said, pairing certain phrases with the thing that you need to say has helped me so much. But it really does require you stepping outside of yourself and also
yes.
putting yourself in my shoes and asking yourself, if I was in Vasa's shoes and if I had the life that she had lived, how would I want to hear this? That takes a lot of awareness. That takes a lot of humility, vulnerability, and compassion, which you do so well, it's not even what you do, it's just who you are.
And ditto for you. That's why I think we share those same core values, and it's not like they just live inside of us. We have had to cultivate it, and it takes courage, and it takes humility,
Yeah.
and and it is about learning those sensitivities. So being curious about what are the core vulnerabilities that my friend that I love, that I adore, that I want to be close to, what are they? What are her fears? What
Mm.
happened to her in childhood? What happened to him in childhood that I want to be the guardian of their heart about?
Wow. I don't think most
Why
people
are we
think
in
that way.
relationship?
Yeah,
I
what is the I
know.
don't know why more people don't think this way. It's like, "Oh, I want to learn about her heart. I want to know how she grew up. I want to know what she's sensitive to, and I want to make sure never to repeat those mistakes again." I mean, unintentionally or intentionally, right? We are so intentional with each other. And that's another thing. We haven't talked about
Yes.
that at all really on this entire episode, but we've talked a lot about communication, tiered friendships, values, but what about being intentional? We are so intentional with the words that we use with one another because we see each other and we know each other so deeply that we never want to do anything to intentionally or unintentionally hurt the other person. Is there anything else you want to
Yes.
say about this before I go into a little rapid fire question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting because I think people might see them and be like, "Oh my gosh, are you guys like caretaking one another? Like, what is
No.
that?" And if anything, I feel like knowing those core vulnerabilities, it's almost like it creates more of a safety net where we can go everywhere because I know that if I accidentally hit something there, I can easily repair it with you because first of all, you allow me to repair it. That's a whole
Mhm.
other conversation.
Mhm.
You allow me in if I do something that hurts you because you know it's not intentional. Some people are intentional and they can be cruel. Those are some red flag behaviors we didn't get to talk about. But
Yeah.
so, what was the final part of your question? I spaced out a little bit.
The final part of my question was about being intentional. I don't remember
Yes.
the final part of my question, but I do like what you just said about we're not caretaking each other, right?
Yeah.
We do this in romantic relationships. We're always trying to make sure that the other person's happy, want to make sure we get their needs met. Why don't we do that in friendship? It's not caretaking. I think it's actually being very kind, very compassionate, and very intentional. I don't remember what the question was though.
Well, I think it's like devotion. Like there's devotion in in the romantic realm, but like there's such a devotion between us. Like we are so devoted to each other,
Yes.
and like we're so committed, like committed to the max. And because we have that, and again we value that. So it's like not every, you might be like, you know what? That's not the kind of friendship I'm looking for. I want more of a casual. I would like my friendship tiers to be more hobby oriented, fun. That's okay too.
Mhm.
Just be honest with yourself about that. And then just know that you may not get the depth, you may not get the intimacy and connection if you're not also willing to navigate the responsibility that is required when you are in a committed friendship.
You said the keyword responsibility because it is a responsibility to be in a thriving, fulfilling friendship. I don't feel like I'm responsible for you, Silvy, but I feel like I am responsible for how I show up in this friendship and how I treat you. But I'm like this with everyone though. But I think to your point, if you know that you don't like, if you just want casual friendships that are just based in hobbies and stuff like that, that's fine too. But once
Yeah,
again, it boils back to knowing who you are, knowing what your values are and what you want in a friendship.
absolutely.
Okay, so I want to
Absolutely.
do a little rapid fire with you. I
Okay.
love these. Okay, so I'm going to make some general and some maybe a little personal. So let's go. All right. Is ghosting ever acceptable in friendship?
Yes.
Okay. Do you
When
want
there's
to?
when
Yes.
there's cruelty and when there's constant violation of boundaries and there's just absolutely no space to feel safe, sometimes all we can do is, close it.
Say adios without actually saying adios. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you believe in seasonal friendships?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a friendship right now that I had during COVID. She was a great friendship during COVID, and then she got married, and then kind of did her own thing, and we stopped being friends, and that was it. And I don't feel any sort of way about it. It was like, oh, she was my COVID friend. That was it.
Mm.
Like that's all there is to it. Do I miss her ever? Sometimes, but not really, because I feel like if the friendship was meant to happen, it would have continued to cultivate, but it didn't. So yes, seasonal friendships. There's such a thing. All right. Should
And we're a culture that doesn't know how to let go. We value relationships that have gone 30, 40 years, even if the relationship is miserable, rather than defining the relationship's value. when there's still gifts and beauty that's being offered to friendship. So I love what you said. Yes.
Thanks, Sylvie. And what do you think is more damaging? Too much closeness or too much distance?
Both.
Both, right? Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to say more about that, or you feel complete with that?
If you have a person that can feel really overwhelmed and suffocated in a relationship, and you're coming from anxious attachment and not honoring their space, they're going to feel unsafe. If you are somebody that needs more closeness and the other person is not hearing you or willing to make accommodations for you, you're going to feel unsafe, period. Both sides.
Yes. I've been on the side of both, because the too much closeness with my family, and I've been romantically with too much distance, and I've had that in friendship too, and both sides have been damaging. So I agree with you as well.
Yeah.
Is it better to outgrow someone quietly or tell them directly?
Gosh, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, say it all.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on what you're practicing and what season of your life you're in. Maybe you're someone who's constantly said everything out loud, and it's maybe actually that also can create some distance. And can allow it's such a tricky one. It's
Yeah.
like this one has a lot of context here. Look, if the person is experiencing discomfort by you guys having a little bit of space and they bring it up, of course, talk to them. Don't deny it. Don't be honest. But let's again, sometimes friendships go on the shelf, and that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong.
I can't ever, I don't think, no, first of all, I have never, and I can't ever foresee myself saying, hey, I think I'm outgrowing you. I can't
Yes,
ever imagine
exactly.
having a conversation like that. I imagine if I am outgrowing a friendship, it's
Mhm,
happening quietly behind the scenes.
mhm,
It doesn't need to be a conversation. That's just me though. I'm not in a season
mhm.
where it's like, I need to tell you every little thing. Hey, I'm outgrowing you. I also think that that's a little hurtful, to be honest. Like,
Yes.
I would never say that to somebody. It just feels very like hierarchical. Like, hey, I'm better than you. I'm outgrowing you. I don't have time for you. I don't have space. So I personally don't think that we should be saying that to somebody.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
you can also through your communication move relationships to where you can nurture them. So if
Yeah.
maybe you don't have as much space and capacity, you can do so through conversation without bringing up the hard thing, but bringing up what you want. Like, I love you. I'm in a really busy season. I'm really focused on this thing. Again, we have to be able to tolerate and normalize ebbs and flows in friendships without making them always wrong. If your friend is going through a religious transformation and you're judging the crap out of them,
Yeah.
maybe that's something to work through on your own, and maybe you want to bring it up in a vulnerable way that doesn't make them wrong or bad. But growing is us. That's something that's happening inside of us. It's not even a them thing, it's an us thing. That's important,
Yeah. Exactly.
right?
What I I want to ask you two questions. I'm just thinking about what order I want to ask you. Okay, I'm going to ask you this one. What do you think would break us, and what would bring us back?
Mm. What
We've
would
never
break
talked about
us?
this, so I'm actually really curious.
Oh my goodness. I think anybody, you intentionally, it's intentional cruelty. Like if you went for one of my core vulnerabilities on purpose to hurt me, to punish me,
Mhm.
I think that would probably kill us.
I think that would kill us, and I don't think there'd be any coming back. And I'll tell you why.
I
Because
don't think so either.
I don't know if we're the same in this way. If someone throws my past, my vulnerability, a weakness of mine, a flaw of mine, something that just is stings, something that stings, and I've
Mm.
shared with you that this stings, and if you in any way throw that in my face or try to tease me or mock me, we're done.
Mm.
We're done, because that tells me you're not intentional with your words, and you kind of have a mean streak to you, and you're okay with using that towards me. Like, that would be very hard for me to come back to.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think I could come back with that from you if I knew that you were just really triggered in a moment
Yeah.
and just having kind of like, oh my, but you like immediately were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I said that. Like, I didn't mean it like that. Like, if we really quickly repaired that, and I can tolerate that part. It's like if like 3 days later you went and you did something and then you're like, whoa, 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 you've slept on it and you're still
Yeah.
going at that. Like it's the intentional part for me. It's okay for me if something comes out if you were triggered, but if you're doing it on purpose to hurt me is a very different thing
There's
for
a
me.
very different conversation. And you know what just came up for me as you were
Yeah.
saying this is like, if I were to ever, I know myself, if I were to ever, because I was triggered, say something mean to you, I think I would exit the friendship because of how much shame I would feel for doing it. I that just came up for me. It's like, oh, you don't even have to break up with me. I would break up with us. I would break up with us because the level of shame and embarrassment that I felt, even talking to you in that way, even saying something like that to you. So that's something interesting for me to really explore, because if you're willing to forgive, then why shouldn't I be willing to forgive myself? You know what I mean?
I think that would be a big one for you to allow me to allow you to be human and
Yeah.
not be perfect. And like we're allowed to make mistakes in relationship, but there's a different flavoring. And again, when we're in flight, free, and fight, what is it? Flight,
Fight,
freeze,
flight, freeze,
fawn.
fawn.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It can be very scary and intense and boundaries. That's where we can, one of the things I love is that if we do if things get heated, we can say to each other, whoa, 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 like, can we just like bring this down? Like we both are willing to adapt and like bring the energetics down, and we're collaborative, I think, in that way.
We definitely are. We work together on our friendship to build what we have. It did not just magically happen. We worked on this friendship. It's been what, like 3 years now, right?
Mm-hmm,
It's been 3 years. Okay, I have one last question for you, Silvy. What's
okay.
one thing you would tell someone who wants deep, long-term friendship like ours, but doesn't know where to start?
Mm. Deep, long-term friendship. I would say just really get clear on those values, which obviously depth is one of them, which requires vulnerability, openness, authenticity, and start practicing that with people in your life that feel safe enough. Obviously, don't go for people that are not having those kind of conversations at all. Pay attention to who's responsive. If you share something vulnerable, do they share something vulnerable back? Be curious about them. Try to ask questions that allows you to really get to know someone and see if they're willing to respond with curiosity, because that's how you build that kind of intimacy and depth, is one brick at a time. It takes it takes effort, and if people are not being vulnerable, you can either bring something up, like, I would love for our relationship to go deeper, and to like ask questions that helps me really understand you more. Are you comfortable with that if we did that? You could always ask, see
Yes.
what they say. They're like, no, I don't like to go deep. It's pretty clear if somebody's not interested in that. And then it's important to pull your energy back, right? And to not continue to try to make someone be a way that they're not interested in being. Because I think I did that for a long time, and it's painful. It's a painful place to be.
It's a really painful place to be when you want one thing and the person that you are bidding for connection is not giving that back to you. And it can make you feel like there's something deficient with you, something wrong with you, but you're just asking the wrong person. You're not asking
Exactly.
for the wrong thing. You're just maybe asking the wrong person. So I think that's a really great way to end today's conversation. I always ask this to everyone. One last question, I promise. Is there anything left unsaid that you haven't said out loud that you want to say?
Just that I love you. And I'm so grateful for you. And we should tell everyone listening that you have the exact same birthday as my husband, to the T. Same
Yes.
moon, sun, rising. I mean, it's pretty gnarly.
It's so gnarly. She basically married her husband, who's her best friend, or her best friend's her husband. I don't know. Well, you were married to Brian first, so it's fine. But it's okay. But we are definitely birthday twins, and I think it just says so much about the kind of people that you are gravitating towards, Sylv, and that you love.
Very much so. Very
Yeah.
much so. So
So
honored to be here and with you.
I want everyone listening who's maybe dealing with their own attachment style challenges and want to be able to navigate this. How can they work with you? How can they get in touch with you to work with you?
Yeah, so I'm taking on a few more clients for if you're in a dating dynamic or a romantic relationship or also a friendship dynamic. I help a lot of my clients to unpack these things and help them recognize what they do value and teach them actual skills on how to show up in a way so that they're feeling met, reciprocity, and creating depth in their relationships. And I also have my Attachment 101 course, which goes into friendships as well and has a ton of scripts on scripts on friendships and romantic relationships as well.
Okay, beautiful. So we'll put all that in the show notes. I want to say I love you, and I want to say thank you for showing up and just talking to my audience today about what it really takes to build a beautiful friendship. We could have gone on and on about this because
yes.
there's so much, right? There's so much that it's for us to get here. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to show up today, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you in 2 minutes.
I'll talk to you in 2 minutes. And everyone else listening, thank you so much for tuning in. If you love today's episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe, leave a review, and I'll catch you next time. And until next
Bye,
time,
everyone.
make sure you say it out loud.
Ooh-hoo.
If you love today's episode, then say it out loud. Subscribe, leave a review, and come say hi over on Instagram at My Name is Vasavi. Until next time, say it out loud.